Hey everybody, what's up? My name's Omar from DeviantNoise.com. We're a one-stop shop for rappers, singers, songwriters, and producers. We want to help you make the best music possible. And so in this video, we're going to show you how to make your own beats using FL Studio, even if you don't know anything about making music. And if you don't want to use FL Studio to make beats, the concepts we're going to go over here are going to still apply to any type of beat making software. We're going to go over how FL Studio works, all the different sections you need to know about, how to add melodies and chords, how to add drums and bass, and how you can take your different loops and turn them into a full beat. Now, along with the video, I'd highly recommend you go to DeviantNoise.com/makebeats to check out the companion guide to this video. It's a full course on how to make beats. It goes over everything you need to know, the hardware and software you need, different sections of beats and songs, different strategies, and how to make beats sound more professional. If you don't want to read the whole thing, there's an audio version right here that you can check out, but I highly recommend you either read or listen to this guide along with this video. The best way to follow along with this video is to download FL Studio if you don't already have it right now. You can get a free trial and follow along step by step so you can make your first beat with it while you're going through this video tutorial. Just open up a web browser and type in FL Studio into the search bar. Click on the first link right here where it says download, and you can get a free trial for either Windows or Mac. If you're serious about your beat making, you should purchase the full version of the software. It costs about $99 for the basic FL Studio and it goes up to about $1,000. But if you just want to make beats, then the $99 version should be all you need. If you can't afford the $99 but still want to make some decent beats with some software, I'd recommend checking out Dr. Drum. It only costs about $40 and you can get started right away. We did a full review on that software on DeviantNoise.com, so check it out with the link in the description of this video. But like I said, if you're serious about your beat making, pick up a copy of FL Studio. So once you've got it installed on your computer, just double click on the icon to open up FL Studio and let's get right into it. When you first open up FL Studio, it's going to show you a screen with a lot more stuff than you're seeing right now, but that's because it starts off with a demo project instead of a blank one. So if you're seeing that, just go to the File menu, click New, and it'll open this up for you right here. The first thing I'm going to do is go to Options, Audio Settings, and I'm going to make sure the audio device it's using is the correct one I want it to use. Since I have a Pro Audio interface, I'm going to set it for that. If you're just using your laptop or computer sound card for now, just leave it as its default, you should be fine. Now there's a few basic sections that you need to know about within the software, so let's start on the left here. This section is called the browser, and it's where you search for the different sounds and instruments to use in the beat you're about to create. You just click through the different folders and choose whatever you want to use. You drag the instrument or sound that you choose into this section right here, which is called the channel rack and sequencer. This is the place where you basically draw in different notes and beats that you want it to play. So for example, if I wanted the kick drum to play on these different beats, I'd basically draw them in with my mouse by pointing and clicking. If you've got a melodic instrument like a piano or a guitar, you would basically right click on that instrument name and choose piano roll. This will bring up a piano roll sequencer where you can draw in different notes at different pitches all across the range of the piano. The next section that you have to worry about is called the mixer. The mixer is the place you can adjust each individual sound or group of sounds. It's where you mix all the different elements of the beat so nothing is too loud or too soft. You can also add different effects like echoes, reverbs to the sound, and you can also change its position from dead center to left or right depending on where you want the sound to come from in your speakers. Right here is where you'd add different effects like reverbs, echoes, distortions to each sound. It's a really powerful section. The next area that you should know about is called the playlist or the arrangement window. This is where you take the different patterns you create here in the channel rack and arrange them in different places so you aren't stuck with a repetitive loop just playing over and over again. You can bring in different patterns or take out different patterns, whether they're 2, 4, 8, or more bars, doesn't matter. Now if you don't understand what I mean by 2 bars, 4 bars, whatever, read through the companion guide on Deviant Noise and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So in the arrangement window, this is where you would put the different patterns like this so that the beat starts to shape into a full song instead of being a repetitive loop. The last section I want to go over right now is called the transport control, which is the section right up here. As you can see, there's a play button, a stop button. This is where you basically start and stop the music that you're composing. If you have it set to PAT, it's only going to play the current pattern that you're working on, looping over and over again. And you can choose different patterns right here where it says pattern 1. And if you choose the song setting instead of PAT, it's actually going to play the full arrangement as you have it drawn out in the playlist. This 130 right here is the tempo of your track. The tempo is how fast or slow you want the beat to play. It's measured in BPM or beats per minute. You can set it to whatever you want, but I'm going to set it to about 140 for the beat that we're going to create in this video. So now that you know about the basics of how FL Studio works, let's get into making our first beat together. Here's how it basically all works. You're going to choose a bunch of different instruments and sounds, whether it's drums, melodies, something else, and you're going to create different patterns. So you're going to create, for example, a kick drum pattern, a snare drum pattern, a piano pattern, whatever kind of pattern you want. And then you're going to take all of those different patterns and arrange them in a different order, having them play all at once, taking out some patterns, putting in some new patterns, until your beat is a few minutes long and starts to sound like a full song. First thing we're going to do is start with a melody line in this video. You don't have to start with a melody. You can start with the drums or the bass or whatever you want. But in this case, we'll start with a few melodic instruments. So we're on pattern 1. I've got my tempo set to 140. This button right here is the metronome, which is basically a click track. It'll play a click sound on every beat. This helps you out a lot when you're playing notes using a keyboard or a drum pad instead of drawing them in. So if I press play right now, you're going to hear the click play on every single beat. It basically counts out the beat for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose our first plugin instrument. We're going to go to the plugin database in the browser, click on generators. These are all the different synths and stuff that's included in FL Studio. The first thing I'm going to choose is the Harmless Synthesizer by dragging it into the channel rack here. Now if I press these keys right here, you're going to notice it plays the sound that's currently selected in the synthesizer. What I'm going to do is go over here to presets, and I'm going to choose a sound that I think sounds kind of dope. So let's go to leads and choose a preset and see what it sounds like. That sounds kind of 90s-ish, so maybe not that one. Sound selection is super important when you're making beats. You want to use dope shit. So let's try this hands up right here. I kind of like that. That's alright, so let's use that. I'm just going to close out of that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the hands up FG in the channel rack and set it to the piano roll, and now we can start laying down some melodies. I'm just going to choose some different notes and try to come up with a pattern. If you're new to music and you don't know which notes you're supposed to use that go together and you don't want to guess at them with trial and error, there's a set of cheat sheets that come with a sound kit called Beat Building Blocks. It's a music producer toolkit that's available at beatbuildingblocks.com for about $25, but you can download the cheat sheets from it for absolutely free. Just visit deviantnoise.com/cheat sheets or click on the link in the description of this video and you can download those cheat sheets for free. What you're going to get is a bunch of cheat sheets that show you exactly which notes you can play to make some dope sounding melodies while staying within a particular musical key. In this case, I'm going to use the C minor scale. So you can see on this sheet, it's showing me I can use the notes C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, and C to create my melody, and it'll still sound good. You can basically just experiment with these notes to come up with a melody that sounds good without too much guesswork. Like I said, to download these cheat sheets for free, just click on the link in the description of the video or visit deviantnoise.com/cheat sheets. They're super helpful. So let's make a quick melody in the C minor scale. Alright, so I've chosen a few notes to make a simple melody. Let's listen to it. So you can see most of the notes that I used are all within the C minor scale from the cheat sheet I just showed you. I'm not really feeling the sound anymore though, so I'm going to go back into Harmless and change the preset to something I like. Alright, so we'll go with that for now. I'm going to stretch out this channel rack right here because the melody I created was more than the 4 beats or the 1 bar that it's showing. So now we've got a little melody started. What you should do now is pause this video, go into FL Studio, pick an instrument and a preset that you like, and create a melody that sounds good to you. You can also download and use the cheat sheets to help you if you want. So go ahead, make a melody however you want, and then come back to this video and we'll add some more sounds. Alright, so I changed the melody around a little bit, not too much, just a few more notes here and there. So this is how it sounds now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add that pattern to the arrangement window because I want to be able to add different sounds on another pattern and play them all together at once. So I'm going to choose song in the transport control instead of PAT. Then I'm going to make sure that it's set to pattern 1 and I'm going to draw that pattern into the playlist. Now if I press play again, it should play what's in the playlist, which is just pattern 1 for now. So we got that right there, and we can move on to pattern 2, and this time we'll try adding some chords to help with the melody. Again, with these free cheat sheets, you can really easily figure out how to make different chords from each key on the keyboard. So if you look at the C minor scale, you can make your chords out of the darker red notes, the ones that say 1, 3, 5, and 7. Choosing 1, 3, and 5, or C, E flat, and G is going to give you a basic C minor triad chord, and if you add the 7th note in there, it becomes the C minor 7 chord. So let's add some chords to the melody. What I'm gonna do is add a different synthesizer track to add the chords. We'll just use another Harmless synth right here. But this time in the presets, I'm gonna choose something that sounds more like keys. So let's try out Church Organ 2. That works. I'm gonna close that out and go into the piano roll, but I gotta make sure that I've got it set to pattern 2. So right click on the second Harmless synth and choose piano roll, and now we can add some chords. So I want to add a C minor chord, which is C, E flat, and G, the 1-3-5 chord. We could also move the keyboard down lower a bit if we want. So C, E flat, G. So we're not going to hear it play until we draw the pattern into the playlist. So I'm on pattern 2 in the pattern selector, and I can draw it in underneath pattern 1 and stretch it out a little bit. So if I want to stretch these notes that I drew out, all I got to do is hold down Control or Command on the computer keyboard and select the notes with my mouse. Then let go of Control and you can actually drag the notes out. Now I want to add a second chord in there, but I'm not sure which chord I should use. So let's take a look at the melody that we created originally by double clicking on the first pattern. This way we can follow along with the notes of the melody in our chord progression as well. The note right here is a D flat. That note's not on the C minor scale, but it still sounded kind of cool, so let's just keep it in there for now. So to learn how to make a chord out of the D flat key, we're going to use another one of the free cheat sheets, and you can see these quick piano chord hacks. It basically says to use the minor chord, you just use the 1-3-5 by placing the first note down. In this case, it's a D flat. Then in the piano roll, you skip 2 spaces, 1, 2, and put another note. And that would be the 3 note. Then you skip 3 more spaces, 1, 2, 3, and add another note, and that would be the number 5 note. There are a few more hacks in these cheat sheets. It'll show you how to make major chords, diminished chords, augmented chords, and all that stuff. So you can see there's a few different piano hacks that are included here. So what I'm gonna do now for the second chord is create the D flat minor chord. Let's see how that sounds. So now I can go and make a little chord progression to play along with my main melody line. So pause this video again, go back into FL Studio, choose another synth, and make a simple chord progression that'll play along with your melody. And when you're back, we'll add some more stuff. Alright, so we're back, and what I did was I added some more chords and notes. This D flat minor chord, I changed it to a major chord because I thought it sounded a bit better. You can use the cheat sheets to figure out the major chord as well, but I basically just moved that middle note up 1 to go from a minor to a major. And at the end of the section, I added a little bit of a rundown, so this is how it sounds now. So really easy and real simple melody. It's only a couple of bars long, not very long at all. But I just wanted to give you the basics of what's going on with FL Studio and how you can use it to start making beats. The next thing we're going to do is add some drums. Now the drums are usually my favorite part, but I usually don't start with them. You can start with them if you want, it's totally up to you, there's no right or wrong way. This kick, clap, hat, and snare are some of the sounds that are included with FL Studio, and you know, they kind of suck. I don't really like using the stock sounds. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go use some of the drum sounds that are in the Beat Building Blocks toolkit. Now the drum sounds from the kit are not available for free. You have to buy the toolkit. It's pretty cheap, only about $25. It comes with about 160 drum sounds and they all sound great and really knock. The kit also comes with a bunch of other stuff. So what I want to do is I want to add this folder with sounds to FL Studio. So I'm just going to click on this little arrow button on the browser here and choose Configure Extra Folders. And then I just have to find where my Beat Building Blocks kit is, which is on the desktop right here. And I'm just going to add that right there, and you can see that Beat Building Block shows up in the browser. So let's choose some drums. Like I said, the drums included in FL Studio are kind of whack, so I'm just going to use the custom kit, which you can get at beatbuildingblocks.com. Let's use this one right here. So I'm going to drag that on top of the kick that's already in the channel rack. And I want it to be a little bit louder, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the name right here and hit Normalize. That's going to turn it up a bit. And then I'm going to turn this knob on the right here all the way up to increase the volume some more. Next, let's choose a snap instead of a snare. I like that one. So again, just drag it over top of the snare this time, and I'm gonna normalize it as well. Now that I've got a kick and a snare sound, I'm gonna go over to pattern 3 in the pattern selector. What I like to do is I like to put each sound or instrument on its own pattern so that I have more control over everything, and I can drop out sounds from the arrangement whenever I want or add sounds back in. We'll start with the snap pattern first. Since we're at 140 BPM, I'm not gonna add the snaps to beats 2 and 4 like you normally would in a basic drum groove, because if I do that, you're gonna hear that it plays very fast and it sounds kind of corny. I want more of a slow bounce, and since we're working in double time, which means the tempo might be 140 BPM, the feeling I want is actually only 70 BPM. So instead of the 2 and the 4, we're gonna put the snap on the 3 and on the 7 beat. And I'm just gonna do that same thing right here. And now we have a snap pattern ready. Let me turn the melodics down just a bit so you can hear the drums come out more. Now let's go over to pattern 4 and add some kick drums. Just draw in some beats and play around with it until you hear something you like. Cool, so now we got a kick and a snare pattern. Next thing I'm gonna do is add a hi-hat. Let's choose a sound from the Beat Building Blocks kit. Now a really easy way to create a hi-hat pattern is to just right click on the hi-hat channel and hit fill each 2 steps, and it'll automatically fill in every second beat right here. It'll sound like this. That sounds alright, but I want something a little bit more bouncy, so I want, those hi-hat rolls you hear in every trap beat that you've ever listened to. I want some of those. So what I'm gonna do is actually use a pre-made pattern from the Beat Building Blocks pack. If you come back into the folder and go into the MIDI loops section, you'll find a bunch of patterns that you can use that are pre-made. So Beat Building Blocks comes with like thousands of different patterns and audio loops and drum sounds. It's an essential toolkit for producers. So I'll go into MIDI loops, which are the patterns, go into drum grooves, and then trap drums, because like I said, I want those hi-hat rolls. And I'm just gonna choose one of these patterns right here, hi-hat 6, and we'll see how that sounds. You just drag it into FL Studio on the hi-hat track, and it automatically imports the pattern. Now if I go into the piano roll for the hi-hat now, you're gonna see all these little hi-hat hits, which are basically the rolls that I was talking about. And this is how it sounds now. So we've got more of a bounce. That's kind of what I wanted. It's really useful and a huge time saver to have these Beat Building Blocks patterns, because you can create these crazy patterns quickly and then customize them however you want. You can do it manually too by chopping up the notes in the piano roll, but that's more of an advanced technique, so I'm not going to be going into that here. So now we've got a kick, snare, and hi-hat pattern. I messed up a bit because I wanted the hi-hat on its own pattern, so let me just take care of that. I just got to cut that pattern, go over to pattern 5, and then drag this MIDI back in here. And let's draw this into the playlist. Yup, so that's that. I'm gonna turn off the click track because we don't really need it anymore. And I'm still not that crazy about the sound that we used for the main melody, so let's choose something else. Okay, so we're back and I chose a different sound for the main melody. I used Dream Keys from the Harmless Synth, and this is how it sounds now. Now I feel like the kick drum is still a little bit low, so what we can do is we can go over to the mixer. You can see right here that the kick is set at number 1, which means it's on channel 1 of the mixer. This one on the very left is the master channel, which combines all the other channels, so that's not actually channel 1. The one right beside it is actually channel 1, so I'm just going to turn that up all the way and get the kick louder. So now pause the video again, go back into FL Studio and you can add some of your own drum sounds to the beat. One thing I should mention first is that in those free beat building blocks cheat sheets, there's a bunch of different drum groove templates. So if you're not sure where each drum sound is supposed to hit, you can take a look at the grooves in the cheat sheets and basically copy them straight from here. You can see that the kick in this groove is on the 1, 3, 5, and 7. The snare would be on the 2, the 4, the 6, and in between 7 and 8. And you can also see where the hi-hat should hit. So it's got a bunch of different groove styles you can use, so you're not left guessing every time. You just copy them direct by clicking them into the sequencer wherever you see them in the example. So pause the video now and go make your drum loop and come back and we'll add some more stuff. Okay, so we're back now, and now that you have a little bit of a loop going with some drums, a melody, some chords, we can add some more stuff. In this case, we're gonna add a bass. Everyone loves an 808, so let's do that. An 808 is basically that loud, boomy bass that you hear in pretty much all modern electronic pop and hip hop music. One thing I'm gonna do first is change up some of the patterns because I feel like it's a little bit too repetitive. So I'm gonna go into pattern number 2, which is the chords, and I'm gonna change these up a little bit. What I want to do is I want to make it a little bit more sparse at first and then fuller near the end of the pattern. So I'll just select everything by holding down Control and using the mouse. Then I'm going to hold Shift on the keyboard and drag the selection to copy it to the second bar. And I'm going to delete some of the notes from here. Only the second part is going to be full. The first part is going to be a little bit more sparse. Now, since I extended the chord pattern, I have to drag it out in a playlist so the entire thing plays. And since the other patterns are shorter, I have to copy them by holding down the Shift key again and dragging them to the second section, so... Alright, now let's listen to it. So it just adds a little bit more variety. You know, the more time you spend on it, the more you can make it sound dope. We're just doing this all really quickly to give you an overview of how FL Studio works and how you can use it to make your own beats. So the next thing we're going to do now is add some bass into the mix. Let's find an 808 sound. I don't know if FL Studio comes with any 808s. It might, but Beat Building Blocks sure as hell does. So I'm going to browse through the 808 folder and find a sound I like. Let's use this one right here, which is 808 number 3. Now I could put it in here on top of the snare track, but I might use that for something else later, so I'm just going to drag it below the last track on the channel rack, and it'll add it in right there. Switch over to pattern number 6, and now we can add an 808 groove. You could right click and draw in whatever you want in the piano roll, but instead of doing that, I'm going to do it the easy way and get a little template sketch going by using the Beat Building Blocks MIDI patterns again. This time we're going to go into 808 grooves, and since we're working in the C minor scale, I'm just going to click on the C folder and choose something that's in the key of C minor. So this one right here, Leanin', is got a good BPM range, 120 to 160, and we're at 140, so it should work fine. It's 4 bars in C minor, and so I'll drag it into the 808, draw in pattern 6 on the playlist, and hit play to see what it sounds like. Alright, so it sounds alright. I can customize the way it hits in the piano roll if I want, but first, it's not exactly how I want it to sound, so I'm going to change some of the characteristics of the sound by clicking on the 808 track, then come into the volume section right here, and I'm going to adjust these parameters to make it sound a bit different. This is called an envelope, and you can use it to change how the sound actually plays back. I'm just going to turn the attack down, the release down, and turn the decay, hold, and sustain all the way up. Now if I come into here, I'm going to drag these notes out so that it holds the sound for however long the note is. The end there still sounds kind of weird, so I'm just going to change up that pattern a little bit however I like. So I'll just remove some of the notes I don't want. So now we got a solid little loop playing right here with a bunch of different sounds. So as you can see, the beat building blocks patterns are really a great way to quickly get a groove and melody going. And like I said, you can fully customize them however you want. The really great thing about the patterns in beat building blocks is that it comes in every single key on the keyboard, so it doesn't really matter which notes you've been producing in, you can find a pattern that's going to match with it perfectly. It comes with 808 patterns, drum patterns, chord progressions in every key, melody patterns, and a lot more. So now you need to add a bass line to your beat. If you don't have any 808 sounds, just use a synth that's included in FL Studio and choose a bass preset and then draw in some notes. Now, if you have a keyboard or a drum pad, you can also record the notes you play live instead of actually drawing them in. What you do is you hit this little record button up here and choose to record everything. And then when you hit play, the pattern will loop and you can start recording notes from your keyboard. So pause the video one more time, go back to FL Studio, add in a bass line. You can also add in some other sounds if you want or change things up. When you come back, I'm going to show you how to take this finished loop and turn it into something that sounds more like a full song. So now that you have a dope sounding 8-bar loop going, I'm going to show you how to finish things off. This won't be a full comprehensive guide on how to arrange music, but I'll give you the basic understanding of how you can get out of the loop and keep things fresh. The thing you got to remember is that in any song you have a bunch of different sections. You've got an intro, you've got verses, you've got a chorus or a hook, sometimes you have breakdowns and bridges, and you've got an outro. So what you want to do is you want to arrange all these different patterns in a way that mimics a full song and keep things changing. You want to have an intro, you want to have a place where the verse drops, and then you want to build up to a chorus, etc., etc. If you ask any producer that's been doing it for a while, they're going to tell you it's not about adding in tons and tons of new sounds. It's all about how you arrange the few sounds that you're already using. You want to have a really good, solid arrangement with a bunch of different sections that keep the listener interested and not bored. You almost want to tell a story with the music and keep the energy moving, keep things dynamic and changing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to erase all of these patterns from the playlist and start from scratch. Start back at pattern 1, which is the main melody. So I'm going to draw in the pattern 1 right here, and this melody pattern will be the intro. Pattern 2 is the chords that you can bring in whenever you want. We'll keep it in as part of the intro. After the intro is where the first verse is going to drop, so I'm just going to copy the first 2 patterns over here. Then I'm also going to add the kick and the snap pattern. So add in pattern 3 and 4 to the second 4 bars. So now if I play it back, you're going to notice it starts to form into a fuller song with different sections instead of just the same loop over and over again. What I can actually do is take out pattern 2 and change up the chords a little bit so that it plays in the intro but not in the verse. I'm also going to copy the verse section a couple of times. And then in the next section is where we can add the full chord pattern. So I'm just going to copy these over and add the full pattern 2 in this section. I'm actually also going to add the hi-hat pattern when the chords come in. So I'll go to pattern 5 and draw in the hi-hats right here. Now let's see how the full thing sounds from the top. I don't really like how it sounds, so I'm just going to remove the chords from the intro and move them to the first verse, but not the entire pattern, just the beginning chords. So now what I can do is I can select all of these and copy them into the chorus section, and I'm going to change it up by adding the 808 to this section, which is on pattern 6. Now like I said, this is just a quick arrangement job to give you an idea of how to finish off a beat when you're creating. Let's put this right here and play the whole thing to see how it sounds. You can do this however you want, but this is kind of how you arrange a simple 8-bar loop into something that sounds a bit more full, like a real song or a fully finished beat. So as you can see, it kind of builds and builds and builds on top of itself, and that's basically how you arrange a beat. So that's pretty much it. Those are the basics of how you make a beat using FL Studio. If you have any questions about anything in this video, leave them in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. One thing I gotta mention though is that you should definitely download the free cheat sheets from the link in the description below. It will be a lifesaver when you're making beats, especially if you're brand new. It's gonna save you a ton of time. And definitely check out the full beat building blocks toolkit. It comes with a ton of useful tools that'll help you make beats faster, it'll help you finish more beats, and you have more fun when you have all these different options. Another great thing is that it'll help you overcome creative block when you're stuck, and trust me, it will happen. It basically just makes beat making super simple. Actually, I'm going to show you exactly how simple it makes it right now. So let's start a new project, and I'm going to really quickly make a starter sketch using beat building blocks to kickstart a brand new beat. And then I can customize it however I want and mess around with it until I have something completely unique however I want, and then finish it off. It's not like you're using pre-made loops and not doing anything unique or original, because you can actually adjust and change whatever you like to fit the sound you're going for. They're a great starting point. And hey, if you're lazy one day, just go ahead and leave them in their original form. Who cares? It'll still sound great. So the first thing I'm gonna do is choose a synth from FL Studio. Let's use Harmless again. Let's choose a sound, something like a keyboard. So I'm gonna go back to Dream Keys. Now what I can do is browse to beat building blocks, and let's say I want to make a beat in the key of E flat minor. It's a really beautiful soulful key. So let's go to the lead melody, MIDI patterns, and into the E flat folder. And I can choose any one of these to start off my melody idea by just dragging it in. And I've already got a melody good to go in FL Studio. It's kind of cool, it's not bad, but let's try something else. So you can hear this one sounds a little bit fast, but that's because the pattern I used was best for a slower tempo. It's marked as 80 to 120 BPM, and my BPM is still at 130. So if I slow down my tempo, this should start to sound a little bit better. Yeah, that sounds kind of cool, so let's just leave that. The next thing I want to do is I want to use some drums, so let's pick a few of the drum sounds included in beat building blocks. Just use anything right now: kick, hi-hat, clap, snare. And I can really easily put together a drum groove using the MIDI loops too. So I'm just going to browse to the MIDI drum grooves, and let's go with a beat building blocks groove right here. Let's start with a kick. And I'll just draw in the snares on the 2 and the 4 since the tempo is slower and we're not working in double time anymore. You can also just right click and hit fill each 4 steps or each 8 steps or whatever you want to do. Let's do the same thing for the hi-hat. Let's see what we got. So you can just mess around and mix and match the different drum and melody patterns. There's literally thousands to choose from. And in just a couple of minutes, you've got a really dope sketch that you can fully customize to your liking and do whatever you want with. Let's say I don't want all these notes playing, I can just delete them from the piano roll. So I just have to select them and hit delete on the computer keyboard. I can even change the chords up if I want to, but for now I'll just delete some of these extra notes. just like that, I've changed it up and made it totally unique in my own. And you can do this all really quickly if you're trying to kickstart a new beat idea, or if you need to finish off a beat but don't know what else to add. You can also use these to kill your beat block if you're in the studio and nothing is coming out and you just can't figure out what to do and nothing sounds good. These are literally a music producer's lifesaver. I love them. Basically, with the Beat Building Blocks toolkit, you can make more music, finish more music, and overcome dreaded beat block at any time with ease. And trust me, it will happen to you. So here's everything that you get with the Beat Building Blocks toolkit. You get those same cheat sheets we used in this video. You can download those for free. But beyond that, you get thousands and thousands of different music patterns, from drum grooves to melody ideas in every single key on the keyboard. You also get the most popular chord progressions that are used in all the hit songs that you hear on the radio. Again, they come in every single key. And you get patterns for bass lines, arpeggios, pluck sounds, lead sounds, and much more. And remember, each of the melodic patterns comes in every single key on the keyboard, so you can choose whatever scale you want and start creating even if you don't know music theory. And don't forget, it also comes with 160 high quality drum sounds that'll make your beats knock. These are light years ahead of the sounds that come included in any beat making software you might use. And finally, you get a ton of different audio loops of drum grooves and break beats, so if you want to add like a live drummer feeling to your beat, you can really do that easily with these. All in all, it's a solid package and it only costs $25. You can also try out a free sample for yourself. Just go to beatbuildingblocks.com. I highly recommend you pick it up. And with that, boys and girls, that's exactly how you create a beat from scratch in FL Studio, the latest version of FL. You can download the trial for free, but if you're really serious about beat making, you should pick up a full copy of the software. If $99 is a little bit too much right now, there's other options like Dr. Drum, which is about half that price. And like I said, if you have any questions about making beats, leave a comment below. And make sure you hit the thumbs up if this video was helpful for you. Hit the thumbs down if you thought it was stupid, but either way, subscribe to our channel because we've got some more in-depth beat making videos coming your way soon. Thanks for watching this whole video. My name's Omar from DeviantNoise.com, a one-stop shop for rappers, singers, songwriters, and producers. And I'm out. Peace.